makes a pretty sound. So we're going to start. But before we actually get started into some of our breathing exercises, I'm going to talk just a little bit. I'll give people a chance to come on board. You know, it's so interesting how our health is completely related and it's paralleled with the stress that goes on in our day to day. And the thing about stress is that sometimes we don't even notice it. So welcome everybody. I'm Adita Lang, and hopefully I'm going to leave you feeling refreshed and ready to go for the rest of your day. So in talking about stress, see, the thing about stress is, there's good stress, there's bad stress. The good stress is when we're excited to do something. We're in the middle of a project and we're just putting our all into it and we're so thrilled about it. That's good stuff. Workouts are good stuff, right? But the bad stress is when we just start getting agitated and aggravated and upset and frustrated and all those icky words, then that becomes a bad stress. And those stresses tend to tense us up in our shoulders, maybe our lower back. We start getting more aches and pains during the day. And those are the things that we want to learn to let go. See, when we were younger, we'd have stresses and we didn't understand them. So what we did was we just I just say we put them in our back pockets and we just forgot about them and said, we're not stressed, life is good. But now as we're older, we can really look a stress in the eye. And so if something triggers you, and I just want you to think about this, if you find that there's something that triggers you, or maybe somebody said something and it just it upsets you a little bit, take a moment to pause. Maybe not at that moment, maybe at a different moment, but just pause and go, why did that bother me? So I'm going to give you a prime example. So my mother was, don't tell anybody, but she was obsessive, compulsive, manic, depressive. What kind of a mixture is that? Too much, right? Too much going on. But she made everything always perfectly clean. And me as a small child had to make sure everything was perfectly clean. I didn't recognize it until I was married. And my in-laws said to me one day, they walked in the house and they just kind of looked around and they were like, do you have a housekeeper? It was like daggers going into me. So that triggered me. And it triggered me because all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, the house isn't clean. It's supposed to be clean, right? So until I could recognize that, whoa, that came from my mom's obsession and things don't need to be that clean. Let's get real, right? Until I could actually look that in the eye, I was not able to let it go. So that's what we want to do, is we want to let these things go, because if not, what happens? We're not digesting our foods correctly, which means we're not getting the right nutrition. We're not losing the weight we should be. We're not doing the things that we want to do. And life's way too short. We've got to have a little bit of fun. So now I think most people are here. What I'd like to do is I'd like to start off by just sitting back in your chair, both feet on the floor. They're about hip distance apart. Close your eyes. Take your shoulders, bring them up to your ears and roll them all the way back and down. This lifts your chest up into the air. And with your eyes closed, simply start to breathe. Inhale and exhale. Deepening the sound of your breath. Trying to create such a loud sound with your breath that it almost takes my words away, like you can't hear me. So full inhale, full exhale. And I know sometimes closing your eyes kind of a little awkward, especially when you're at the office, but just try to shut everybody out. And if you can't close your eyes, then I want you to stare at one thing. Find something, the tip of your nose, maybe there's a painting on the wall, something to just stare at. Deepen the sound of your breath. And we're going to start to lengthen the breath. So on this next inhalation, I'd like you to extend the breath through a count of 4. So I'm going to count for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And now you're going to hold your breath for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And exhale for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold your breath again for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we're doing one more round. So slowly inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And one last time, hold your breath for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And slowly go back to listening to the sound of your breath. And now slowly open your eyes. And let's sit to the front edge of your chair and simply just cross your leg over, up nice and tall, and hinge from your hip forward. You'll feel the stretch in your hip. And let's talk a little bit. That breathing exercise we just did is more like a diagnostic, to be honest. So some of you were able to extend your breath for 4, hold your breath for 4, no problems whatsoever, and that's awesome. That means you're pretty centered right now. On the other hand, some of you might have been like, oh, I don't know if I can get to 4. Oh, there's no way I can hold my breath for 4. I'm trying, but I can't. It's just too long. I can't hold my breath this long. And you had this mind chatter going on. So if you were in that group, I want you to think about maybe what's transpired this morning and how the rest of your day is going to work out. Because maybe there's a couple of things that are bugging you that you should probably address. And if you've got like a pad of paper at your desk, maybe just write them down. So we can just kind of put them there to the side for a moment. Let's switch legs. Cross the leg over, big deep breath, and exhale and hinge forward. This is my best stretch for when you're sitting at your desk and your back is starting to get achy and all that. This is the best stretch. But here's the thing, see if you can see my back here. A lot of times we stretch like this, where we bend at the very center of our back. This doesn't really help. So I want you to sit up, shoulders back and down, and only bend from your hip. That's where you'll feel the stretch in your hip. That's your best position. And we're going to do this stretch again. So let's lift up the other leg. Deep breath and exhale, hinge forward. Try to deepen your breath. Try to keep that lengthening of your breath as we're sitting here stretching. Now this time, lift the knee up with the opposite hand and turn your shoulders and your body and hold. You'll feel the stretch a little different in the hip. Deep breath and exhale and release the leg. And let's do the same with the other side. Cross the leg over, first hinging forward. You know, oxygen is so important because when the oxygen flows freely in our body, our brain works better. That's just really what it is. But when we have very tight muscles, it's almost like roadblocks. It's like if you were on the highway and there were these roadblocks, which made it harder for you to go around and get forward the way you wanted to go. It's the same thing with our breath and the oxygen that comes into our bodies. Let's lift the knee now and turn to the other side. Excuse my back. Full inhale, full exhale here. And release. Both feet coming to the floor. Now, hopefully your chair is further back from your desk. I want you to be able to reach your desk, but I want your chair back. Because now what we're going to do is we're going to hinge again from the hips, feet are about hip distance apart, and simply lean. And as you're leaning, I want you to think about pushing your tailbone back towards your chair. It's like creating an arch in your back as much as you can. Pull in from your abdominals, so you kind of squeeze in from your rib cage and push your tailbone back and just hold right there. Taking a few deep breaths here. Now, one elbow stays on the desk. The other arm is going to go up, 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 up. And I want you to reach back like you're trying to touch something that's behind you. Maybe you're reaching something behind you. But notice how I'm still hinged from my hip. So reach back as far as you can. And now come back to center. Other side, same thing. Reach, 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 reach. Keep the hinge. And back to center. And let's stay here for a moment. Try to accentuate, really push your tailbone back. Your feet are flat on the floor. We're doing this again. Take the arm, go back, reach something behind you. You're trying to grab a book in a bookshelf, but you're still leaning in from your hips. And release the other side, same thing. And then come center and lift up from there. So let's extend one leg straight out. Your heel is on the floor, your toes are up to you. And again, lean on your desk. So now you'll feel the stretch in your hamstring and hold right there. And I just want to talk about something. I know that some of you are like in this class and you're like, oh, I don't know if I have the time for this. I've got a lot to do. I've got a project I have to finish. And I get that. But this little bit of stretching and breathing and the things that we're going to do in today's class is actually going to give you more energy for the rest of your day. That's the goal. And at the same time, too, we'll be able to think better. And when we're thinking better, we're more efficient. So that is the goal of the whole thing. So just really try to get into the breathing exercises and the stretching exercises so we create that super highway of oxygen through the body. Let's bring this leg in, the other side. Extend the leg out, heel to the floor, and hinge forward and hold. Now, part of good health and part of us feeling good, too, is what foods we're putting into our body. So I have a glass of water at my desk, which I encourage you to do too. It's the morning. I'm sure that some people have had coffee and tea and all those kind of things, but those things dehydrate us. Not saying we can't have them, but we need to make sure that we're bringing in full hydration. And that hydration, again, it's going to help our mind and our body. It's going to help us stretch better too and work out better. Now come back up. Once again, sitting back, all the way back. Now this time, I'd like you to extend one leg, push with your heel as much as you can. And as you're pushing, I want you to think about tightening up your calf, your quadriceps, pushing your hips into the chair, really getting everything as tight as you can. And now when you let go, pretend like it's a feather floating down. So I want you to lower your leg as slow as you can, almost so slow that it's boring. That's how slow I want you to release the muscles of your foot and your leg and allow this leg to go down. So this is the pace of this next activity that we're doing. Take the other leg, flex, tighten all the muscles all the way through your legs and push your tailbone into the chair, sitting up nice and straight. And now slowly, just gradually release your foot and allow your leg to float down. And every time we do this to a different muscle, I want you to try to go slower. So slow that it is boring that it's going so slow, but you can do this. And then release the leg. Now, separate your fingers, press your arms down, sit up off the back of the chair, push your arms down, and try to tighten your arms all the way through to your shoulders, all the way through. Separate your fingers where you feel like you might stretch them too far apart. Hold right there. And now slowly allow your fingers to just curl naturally and allow your back to sink back to the chair. Now extend the arms up, same thing. Stretch the fingers as far as you can. Sit up off your chair, hold up. It's almost as if we're a gymnast and we won the gold medal. Hold here. Now, allow your fingers to naturally curl and your arms to float down by your sides, extra slow. And if you're doing this correctly, you'll feel all sorts of tingling through your fingers and your arms. You might even feel a little heaviness in your arms, and that's okay. Then just let them fall. Now take the shoulders all the way up to the ears, all the way up to the ears. Push as much as you can. Now again, let your shoulders float down, extra slow. Extra slow. See, like I feel my fingertips heavy right now, and that's okay. And then hold here, take your ear to the shoulder, and I'd like you to push the opposite shoulder down and hold here. So both shoulders are down, and you're trying to push this one ear over. You'll feel the stretch in the side of the neck. Hold there, push as far as you can. Now slowly allow your head to come back up to the center really slow, and now work your way to the other side, ear to shoulder, push the opposite shoulder down, and allow the ear to slowly come back up. And now slowly bring the chin straight down and hold, pressing both shoulders down, feeling the stretch in the back of the neck. And then slowly allow your head to float back up. We're going to do one more round. I know it's a little boring, but it's okay. It's going to make you feel really good. Extend one leg out, push the heel as much as you can. Tighten up all the muscles in the leg, tighten them up. You know what we're going to do now, so it makes it so much easier. Tighten up those muscles. And now allow your foot to release and your leg to lower really slow, really slow. And let's do the other leg, same thing. Press out through the heel, tighten up those legs, tighten up the muscles, everything. And now release your foot and the leg, nice and slow. Nice and slow. Now push those arms straight down, separate your fingers, stand up nice and tall. And allow the fingertips to curl naturally and allow your back to sink back towards the chair. And now both arms go up. Separate the fingers as far as you can. Hold yourself nice and tall and then allow everything to slowly, very slow, come down as if you can feel your arms go through the air, like actually feel the air against your skin as your arms are going down and you can feel the tingling. Take your focus there. Really focus on what you're feeling through your arms and your hands. And allow the arms to come down, shoulders up to the ears. Hold. And now the shoulders simply come down nice and slow. Nice and slow. And when they come down, let's bring the ear over, pressing the opposite shoulder down. And let your head float back up to the very center. And now work its way to the other side. And hold. And float back up to the center. And so once again, extending one leg out. This time your foot is flexed. Turn your foot out and simply hinge forward. So, continuing our little discussion about things that can kind of cause stress. So here's what I want you to think about when you're looking at like snacks that are at your desk. So some foods give us a lot of nutrition, and that's what we need for recovery. And I want you to think about recovery as recovery from stress, recovery from just daily activities, right? Other foods actually create excitation in our body, which now adds to our stress. Let's switch feet. Press the foot out, turn your foot out. So what are those foods? Well, your fruits and vegetables, unrefined grains, those give you nutrition. That's awesome. The cookies, the cakes, the candy, the bagel, the muffin, those things actually all digest as a sugar. And it's actually sugar, flour, dairy, and alcohol. They all digest as a sugar. That creates a sense of excitation in our system, which actually adds to the stress. So if you were going to choose snacks for your desk, choose something that has a little bit more protein and fat, maybe some raw nuts. Let's bring this leg in. My favorite, and you've probably heard me say this before, is I love raw almond butter, like on an apple. That's like my favorite snack. And I can dip, right? You can do all sorts of things with it. But that gives me nutrition, which now helps me with my recovery of my body. So let's take one leg, and I want you to pretend like you're going to cross the leg, but then you don't. And you're going to cross the leg, and then you don't. Now, so try to sit up very straight. Inhale one way, exhale the other. Inhale one way, exhale the other. One more. This time, stay up, cross, and hinge forward and hold. And release. So I want you to think about that when you're choosing your snacks. The same thing would go. Let's do this leg. We're going to almost cross and come back down. Like sugary drinks, right? All those things, they create excitation. Now, maybe you're thinking to yourself going, yeah, but you know what? I'm really exhausted. I kind of need that pick-me-up. You're almost better off with a cup of tea for a pick-me-up than a Coca-Cola or some kind of Snapple type beverage. One more. Hold your leg here, cross over, and bring yourself forward. Because here's what happens too. When we start eating too many sugars, we don't realize this. We have this excitation thing going on, but then because it's an excitation, which, think of it like this. It's going up and down, up and down, up and down. We're not thinking clearly. We're not steady. The goal is to create steady energy in your body, and then you think better. And of course, sometimes some people have just been eating this way for all their life, so they don't know any better, so they think they're fine. But I can tell you, with my clients, I can always make people feel better, no matter how healthy they are, to be honest. There's always a little tweak here or a tweak there that can be done that just makes you recover better and makes you just feel centered and makes things not so triggering, which is what we want so that we stay really balanced and centered. Cross that leg back. Now let's sit back into our chair again. Nice and tall, both feet on the floor. Close your eyes. I think I'll do a little tune here. Listen to the sound of your breath. And remember, if you don't feel like closing your eyes, that's okay, but then find something, a focal point to just stare at and really hold your gaze at that one thing. Now this time we're going to extend our breath once again, but you're in charge of counting. So I'd like you to try to extend your breath as far as you can. Count very slowly and try to take the inhalation to the utmost furthest point before you start the exhalation. And then I want you to count again during your exhalation. Remember the numbers. So let's start with that. Deepening the breath, counting as you go. And whenever you reach your exhalation, do the exact same thing. And I want you to remember your score. So now when we do it again, your goal is to beat your score, to try to further that inhalation, just a couple of numbers more. Not by counting faster, but by keeping the same count, the same pace. And we're going to do that again. And then slowly go back to listening to your breath. And then open your eyes and scoot back to the front of your chair once again. Interlace your fingers, stretch your hands forward. And then release. And again, stretch your hands forward. Release one more time, stretch forward. And now this time up and hold your arms here. So let's just talk about what we just did. So to give you some parameters, a yogi, like a really good yogi, can go up to 40. My average client goes up to 14, though, I have to be honest. So the goal here, though, is this is something that can be trained. Now, round your shoulders forward, allow your back to push back like a C, and hold here, push your shoulder blades apart. So this is something that can be trained. So maybe sometimes you're in the middle of doing something and you can feel the stress coming up into your body. Sit up very straight, shoulders back. And let's go back up again. And that's when you just take a moment. That was really less than a minute. You can take a moment and just focus on deepening your breath, making those numbers longer. And this is just a practice thing. Maybe you'll work your way up to 20, 30, or maybe you were already there. I don't know. But it's a good practice to do because it makes us focus so hard on the breath that we basically shut everything else off. Come all the way up, arms go back. Last time, round forward. And then when we go back to our project or whatever we were doing, we look at it with fresh eyes. It makes things easier. Now, only the shoulders, pull them back, sit very straight, and relax the arms. And simply sit here nice and tall, and just sit and take a little inventory of what's going on in your body. Feel what you feel. Everyone's going to feel something different. So just take a note. Say, what do I feel? Like I still feel my hands pretty tingly. So I think because of the computer a lot, my fingers are like this. So every time I can stretch my hands, I can feel that a lot. So that's an area that I know probably needs a lot of stretching. Deepen your breath. And now let's reach underneath and pull one knee into the chest, sitting up very straight and hold. So, stress is an interesting thing. I want you to think about this. If, for example, let's take that heel back out again, straight up this time, and then press yourself forward. And I want you to think about pushing your tailbone back. So a lot of times stress has to do, see, no one can give us stress. It's our interpretation or our perception of an event. So here's an example. You were driving down the highway and someone cut you off in traffic. You walk into the office and you've got two sets of friends. Let's change legs. One set of friends, you go in and you say, oh, somebody cut me off. And now they start to like stir the pot. So they're like, oh, I know the highway's so bad. It's terrible. And they go on and on and on. And now you're getting more and more upset about the whole situation. You're getting angry about how could the highway do this? How could people do this? Right? So they have stirred the pot and you have allowed them to. Now, on the other hand, your other set of friends, you go, oh, I can't believe it. Someone cut me off in traffic. And they say, oh, I hope that person wasn't running to the emergency room. I hope their family's okay. That completely diffused the whole thing, didn't it? Right? So sometimes our words can stir the pot for others or minimize what's going on. And so I want you to think about that too, because we all do it. And here's the thing, it's just human nature. Bring the feet in, separate your feet this time as far as you can, and then hinge forward, pressing your tailbone back. Human nature tends to, it's kind of like a magnet. We go towards the negative stuff and we love to ruminate. We love to talk about it in our brain, think about it, talk about it with other people, all that kind of stuff. And all that does is get us upset from the inside out. And then when we deal with other people, maybe we deal with customers, maybe we deal with friends, we're a little bit cranky. Maybe we're a little on edge from just stuff that we've allowed basically ourselves to have. Now come back up. Take one arm all the way across your chest. I'll face you this way and bring the arm in. And as you're pulling the arm in, think about pushing the shoulder back and away, and you'll feel the stretch right into the shoulder. And we're going to stay with this arm, and you're sitting nice and flat into your chair. I want you to reach and give yourself a twist, like go as far as you can. Sitting up nice and tall, shoulders are back and down. And now same arm goes up and then reach back like you're going to scratch your back. And reach for the elbow and pull the elbow back. This is what stretches your triceps, the back of the arm. And just as we do these stretches, just take note which stretches hurt more than the others, because maybe those are areas that you need to address on loosening up. Or maybe, let's do the other arm, cross the arm over. Maybe there are positions that you have at your desk that are actually stressing your body out even more. So just think about that. Release the hand and go. Twist and reach as far as you can. Back to center, take the same arm up and back and reach for the elbow back and hold. And release. So sitting there, it's just the shoulders, and think of a circle. So if I had a marker here and I was drawing a circle, right? So let the shoulders come all the way forward, all the way up, all the way back. When they come back, feel your shoulder blades connect. And then they go down. And when they come down, your chest comes up. And again, come forward, up, back, and down. If you're doing this correctly, it feels like a little mini massage. So truly exaggerate the turn in the circle, all the way up, back, and around. One more. And now release. So let's sit back in our chair again. This time, eyes open. So I'm assuming you're at your desk and maybe your computer screen is right in front of you where you're sitting. And so what I'd like you to do is I would like you to stare, find something that's 20 feet away, and maybe your office is smaller than that, that's okay. Just stare at the furthest part that you can in your office and just stare there for a little bit. Just stare, that's it. Maybe it's just, mine's just a white wall, there's nothing much to see, but that's okay, just stare. And now, before you stare at your computer screen, I want you to look back towards your screen, but close your eyes. Close your eyes. And I want you to go back without looking at your screen. Open your eyes as you go back to that point that's as far as away as it can go. Stare there. And then one more time, as you bring your eyes back to your computer screen, close your eyes before you get to the monitor. And then slowly open your eyes. So interestingly enough, that is a great way to reduce the stress in our eyes from staring at the monitor. So if we look away, we close, look away again, and close. It tends to allow our eyes, all those little things inside our eyes that make us see things, it gives it a little time out. And then when you actually look at whatever you're doing, I call these fresh eyes. So fresh eyes means that you can look at things differently. Maybe you can problem solve more. These are all things that help us relieve the stress of our day. So one thing, I'm going to take a brief moment here just to talk about your desk setup, because this is very important. So this isn't my normal work desk. This is my show you guys how to exercise work desk, right? So that you can see everything. Because, and I'm going to show you why. Ideally, when you bend your elbows 90 degrees, your hands should fall right at your keyboard. See, this desk is too high for me. I'm vertically challenged. It's all right. So your keyboard, my keyboard should be here. At the same time, my monitor should be at the same height as my eyes, the very top of my monitor. So in theory, the top of my monitor would be here and my keyboard would be down here. So I want you to look at your setup and see how you're doing. Because if not, if I was to use this as my desk, I would be here, right? Which now hunches up my shoulder. So now I'm creating stress here. And then I would have to kind of like to look at my keyboard, or maybe I'm looking down if it's a a laptop, or I'm looking up. But either way, it's going to be very difficult for me to align my eyes and my neck so that everything goes the right way. Because ideally, you want your knees slightly in front of your heels. So look down right now, just check that out, okay? You want your thighs to be slightly up. Like this chair is actually a great height for me. So my thighs kind of angle upward very little, just a little bit, right? And then from there, when you're sitting, you want your shoulders directly over your hips and your ears directly over your shoulders. A lot of times from this, this thing, then we tend to be up here, right? So now my ears are in front of my shoulders, right? So we want to make sure that we literally press our head back and we find ourselves here. So with that said, take both hands behind the head. Keep both hips into the chair, deep breath, and exhale and turn your upper body to one side, leading with the back elbow as far as you can. You'll feel the stretch in your chest and shoulders. Hold here. And now the other side. Rotate, lead back with the back elbow as far as you can. Chest is up nice and tall and both feet are flat on the floor. And now back to center. Let's rotate one more time on both sides, all the way over and hold. And again, rotate, other side. And back to center. So right here, we're going to stretch the back of our neck, but we're also going to use our hands as resistance. So the first thing is bringing the chin to the chest and feel the stretch in the back of the neck. I want you sitting up very straight and simply bend from the neck. So you feel the stretch in the neck. Now use your hands as a little bit of resistance as you're coming up. So that way we strengthen these muscles back here behind our head. And again, chin to chest, enjoy the stretch. And resist as you come up. We're going to do this 2 more times. Chin to chest. Resist on the way up. Again, chin to chest. And resist coming up. And release the arms. Now, simply keeping everything aligned, just like I talked about. Take only your chin and look over your shoulder. And here's the catch on this. It's not just the eyes. I want you to turn your entire face so you actually feel the stretch in the side of the neck. And then turn the other way. And if you feel like you're lacking some mobility, go as far as you can, but recognize that maybe this is a good thing for you to do on an ongoing basis. And the other side. One more time on both sides. Turn. And turn. And release. Now take both arms in front of you, straight out in front. Think only shoulder blades. See, during the day when we're doing this and we kind of hunch over, we allow our shoulder blades to separate And then this muscle that's in between the shoulder blades becomes stretched, and it's very hard to bring them back together. So now let's talk to shoulder blades. Squeeze your shoulder blades back in together as if you're holding a $100 bill in between your shoulder blades. And now release and squeeze them back. Your arms, they remain shoulder distance apart. The elbows are not bending. Pull back from the shoulder blades and release. Pull back. This works, the muscle's called the rhomboids, that little muscle back there to help us stay straight longer. Inhale one way, exhale the other. And so here's the thing, the interesting thing about work. You know, we get so caught up with work. I call it the hamster wheel of life. We do the same thing over and over and over again. But there's these little things that we can do for ourselves. So maybe you've got 2 or 3 phone calls you have to do today. Well, why can't you take a little walk and take those phone calls and then come back to your desk, right? So that gives us a little bit of activity. And that activity, guess what? It increases the energy in your body. And now you're more energized for the rest of your day. We'll do this one more time. Hold here, stay, and release. There you go. So sit back into your chair, both feet flat. Just think about sitting up nice and straight and just focus here. Just totally find one thing to stare in front of you and just stay at that focus and breathe. And I'm just going to talk for a little bit and then we're going to do a little exercise. So when we're trying to build up this energy in the things that we do at our desk in our office, you know, sometimes I do see clients that they'll spend 10, 15, 20 minutes swiping, you know, Instagram, Facebook, all that kind of stuff, right? Well, if you can spend 10, 15, 20 minutes doing this, you're better off stretching and doing something here. I do realize that some people go, oh no, but this is relaxing. This is relaxing. I'm looking at my friends painting their bathroom. This is very relaxing. It's actually not. And so unfortunately, it does cause this other kind of weird stress from the electronic gadgets. So taking a moment in your day to stretch, to release muscles, to increase circulation is actually going to be much more valuable. It really is. So we're sitting here. Now, once again, close your eyes and listen to the sound of your breath. Now, we've done this a couple of times, so I want you to try to bring the sound even louder than the last 2 times we've done this. And as you start to lengthen your breath and deepen the sound of your breath, I want you to envision a little white light in between both eyes. And I want you to hold your focus there. Yes, it does feel like your eyes are cross-eyed. So try to hold that, and you'll find yourself when your eyes will move, even though your eyes are closed. They'll move, and I want you to bring them back to that one little imaginary white light. Work on holding your focus there. And now that little white light is going to slowly start to open. And as it opens, like a TV screen opening, you notice that that little white light was strictly a tiny cloud, and you are now staring at a beautiful blue sky. And interestingly enough, instead of really sitting in a chair, you're actually lying back on the sand, looking up. And in this vision, you can see the birds fly by, and you can hear them. And you can hear the rustling of the palm trees, of the leaves, when the wind comes by. At the same time, as you're listening to the sound of your breath, you start to realize that your breath is actually the wave coming into the shore and then backing away. And that's that sound as you inhale and exhale. And you can feel the droplets of the ocean as they come crashing into the shore and then back away again. And you can feel the warmth of the sand on your back as you're laying in the sand. And I want you to feel so relaxed lying back in the sand that it's as if you don't feel your body. You don't necessarily feel like you're holding your arms up or your legs in any position. They're just melting down. And you continue to listen to the waves coming in and out, and the other sounds of the birds and the trees. And you can feel a crisp breeze go across your cheeks here and there. And you can feel the sun against your skin. Deepening your breath. And you feel the spray of the ocean on your skin as well. And slowly, you bring yourself to find one little white cloud and take your focus there. And that white cloud slowly comes back to that white dot, still listening to your breath. And now taking your attention away from the white dot and just listen to the breath. Making the breath a little louder, a little stronger. And then slowly opening your eyes. And just take a moment here. Take a moment to recognize that maybe before you started class, you had all these thoughts of things you have to do and what you were going to do, and maybe you've put them to the side, which would be wonderful. You've been able to give yourself a moment. And then release. So sitting back again, front, towards the front of the chair, interlace the hands, pull forward, and just allow your lower back to go round as far as you can. So you're pulling in from your center, nice and round. And now pull the arms over to one side. And then let's do the same thing to the other. And we're going to do that again. Stretch over, keeping the roundness in your back. And to the other side. And now bring the hands to your knees, and you're still round, and pull up very straight. And then tuck your tailbone under and allow your back to round back. And again, pull up nice and straight. And round back. And bring yourself up. And round back. And up, and this time hold yourself here. Keeping both feet flat. Push one arm down and the other arm comes up and over. So I'm stretching my left arm up. So my left hip, the same hip as your arm, needs to push into the chair. This, of course, so you don't fall over, but at the same time, it accentuates the stretch. And now center, other side, same thing. So push the same hip into the chair as you reach over. Try to keep both feet flat. And bring yourself center and stretch again. And center and stretch again. So all these things that we're going over in class today, these are things you can implement with just a couple of minutes in your day, and it's actually going to, again, increase that energy flow, but it's also going to clear up our head so that we look at things differently and we don't allow things to trigger us or get us upset. And release. Now shoulders come up, back, and around. So here's the thing to keep in mind. Hopefully, you like my personality, I guess. But would you imagine if I didn't have breakfast and I didn't sleep last night and I'd be sitting here saying, okay, push your shoulders down and lift your shoulders up? It wouldn't be that fun, would it? So that's what I want you to think about, is that a lot of times when we're holding a lot of stresses in our body, we don't recognize how that ends up being interpreted by the people we're dealing with. And we don't want them to perceive us as being stressed or negative or upset or saying something that then triggers them to be upset, right? We don't want to do that. Hold those shoulders down, lift up from the chest. Now simply move your shoulders forward, and you can pull your arms in and then pull them back and push your arms out. And pull in and press back. Again, bring your arms in and out. And then here's the other part of all of this. So sometimes we can't figure out what's triggering us and why we're upset and why we just feel like a little black cloud walking around. And that's when we go and get help. Therapists can be great. Granted, sometimes it's just a friend that's great to talk to, but a therapist is a professional and they kind of know what they're talking about. And so sometimes they can help us even better. And I don't think we should ever be ashamed to go and get help, because at the end of the day, what's the outcome? We want to be sweet and loving and happy and enjoying life. And we have to place ourselves in that position. And in reality, we have to do whatever we have to do to get there. Okay, you're going to sit back in your chair again. One last little meditation. I'm going to leave you guys floating. That's my goal. So sitting up nice and tall, close your eyes, deepen your breath. And now we're all in different locations. So here's your goal. I want you right now, as you're listening to your breath, I want you to take your sound, your ears, and I want you to try to find a sound that is the furthest away from you. So for example, in my case, the street is the furthest away and there's cars and trucks and everything. So I'm going to it's like I have bionic ears. I'm going to tune in to the sound of the cars that are really far from me. And I want you to tune in to whatever the furthest sound is. And you want to put so much attention that you don't hear the sounds that are close to you, because you're so focused on that sound that's so far away. And now I want you to find the sound that's the closest to you, whatever that is, and take all your attention there. Deepen your breath. And now I just want you to go back to just being neutral. You haven't chosen a sound yet. And the very first sound you hear, wherever it is, if it's far or close, wherever it is, I want you to zero in on that sound. And almost break down the sound. Try to envision what it is. Maybe it's the copier running. Maybe it's someone going up and down the stairs. Whatever it is, I want you to envision what is creating that sound. And try to create as much detail as you can, even if you're making it up. It doesn't matter. There's no grade with this. And now go back to just listening to your breath. And remember that sound that was so far away? So I want you to find that sound again. And this time, I want you to envision what is making that sound and try to create as many details as you can. Put all of your attention and focus to that sound that's so far away. And now go back to that sound that's really close by. And it's as if you're turning on a radio and turning off a radio. So you've turned off the far sound and now you're focused and zeroed in on the sound that's very close to you. And once again, envision what it is. What's moving? What's creating the sound? What's it look like? What color is it? And bring yourself back to the sound of your breath. And then slowly open your eyes and just sit back and just kind of be for a moment. And you can just listen to me, just be. I think we need another sound. It just sounds good. And just be here. Feel your body, feel how your feet feel on the floor. So kind of trying to close on this whole stress issue is keep in mind that in every stressful situation, the worst stressful situation, you can always find 10% good. It never fails. The challenge is again, we focus on the negative parts of things, so then we actually block the vision of anything good. So if you're ever in a stressful event, I want you to remember my words, and I want you to force yourself to not focus on the negative and try to find the 10% good, because it's always in there. I promise it is. It's always in there. So that's really important for us to do. And at the same time too, remembering that no one can give us stress. Maybe we're dealing with a disgruntled, teammate or something. Well, they can't give us the stress. It's how we perceive what they're saying, what they're doing, their actions. It's our perception of it. And at the same time too, we can always walk away. So just kind of keep that in mind too. So as you sit here, allow your arms to come down, and now sit back off of the back of your edge of your chair. And just remember the floating exercise. I want you to float up with your arms very slow. Allow them to float up. And if you're going slow enough, your fingers will feel heavy. You'll feel a little bit of tingling in the arms. And maybe some of you aren't doing this because your teammates are watching you and you feel weird. Don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. It never matters what other people think. It's just what you're doing. It makes you feel good, then I want you to do it. And now slowly come down. Same thing. Nice and slow. Allow your fingers to just do whatever they want to do as they're floating down. Any kind of mindful practice, and we're going to do this a couple of times, so just allow your arms to go down and back up. A mindful practice is when you have to take all of your thoughts and attention and focus on one thing. So right now you have to really think about, am I going slow enough? Do I feel the tingling in my fingers? Do my fingers feel heavy? You have all this stuff going on that you can't really think of anything else. And that puts your brain on a nice timeout and allows your brain to reset. Your arms are coming down now. We're going to do this one more time. So sometimes maybe breathing isn't your thing. You could doodle or color in a coloring book or do a connect the dots. They have these really intricate connect the dots with like 10,000 dots. You have to focus on those things. When we have to focus so much and so intently, we forget everything else for just a brief moment in time. So shoulders come up, back and around. Remember that big massage. Nice. Up, back, and around. Up, back, and around. One more time. And hold your shoulders down. But I'd like you to think about some of these things that we did today and try to implement them into your day. Just taking this brief moment. And like I said, some of those breathing exercises, they really were less than a minute. Maybe they were 2 minutes. We all have 2 minutes, even during the most stressful day, even when we have deadlines. If you can take 2 minutes, it's actually going to give you more clarity in your brain, which is then going to give you more ease of work and getting our things done. It'll give us more ideas of how to make things more efficient. And at the end of the day, then that makes things less stressful too. Help. I hope this leaves you floating for your day. And even today that we spent this much time doing this, which is fine, but if you find yourself, like, let's just say it's 3 o'clock and you're like, oh, I got so much stuff to do, I can't believe this. I promise you, please just take a moment to do one of the breathing exercises or to do something that we did here today, and you're going to feel better. Just take a moment. It's all about a moment.